with no automation tools and no technology stack, then you are relying on human beings to outperform all of the tech stacks out there, which is really a recipe for disaster.
Are you currently struggling to figure out how to pay your team, what your compensation plan should be, what you should be holding your team accountable to on a production standpoint to make it profitable for the agency? That's exactly what we dig in today with our guest, Iain Steeves, and he's going to break down exactly what you should be doing, how to formulate a mathematical equation and figure out what your team members should be producing to be profitable for the agency. And the best part about Iain as well is he's a corporate partner. So if you've ever wanted to have a conversation with a corporate partner, he's going to give you some insights on what he's looking for, what he sees the most successful agencies doing, and where the direction of insurance is headed. With that being said, let's start the show. Hey, welcome to the Insurance Buzz. We are your hosts, Michael and Courtney Weaver, and today we have a very special guest, Iain Steeves. Iain, how are you, brother?
I'm great, sir. How you doing?
I am pumped to have you on, man. So we just connected a few weeks ago, and I was like, damn, we got to have this guy on the buzz. Your history of going into cultures, transforming them into winning cultures, the success that you've had along with like those that have been on your team, they're achieving success. I am very excited about today's conversation.
So I don't know a ton about you, Iain. So I would love catch me up on how you have landed here on the Insurance Buzz.
Yeah, Michael and I caught up a few weeks back, but Courtney, this is our first time meeting, so it is great to meet you. It's my pleasure. But yeah, I am now in officially in double digits. I guess I'm old in my farmer's career. I didn't think I was going to be, but when I was fresh in the industry and I heard people were in year 11, I was like, oh man, they've been around a while. Like now, I guess I've been around a while too because I'm in year 11, and I've had lots of jobs, and I've lived in I think 7 states with farmers. I started out in our expansion zone doing recruiting. I went to the Midwest where growing up 20 minutes from New York City, just across the East River in New Jersey. I never thought I'd be living in Omaha, Nebraska and supporting Nebraska and Iowa. But there I was, and then I took a role overseeing the state of New Mexico, and then I went to work for a senior vice president in the Central Zone. So I was in Dallas. Then I went to what I affectionately call our mothership in Los Angeles, and I was running sales performance. Namely, I would say the biggest roles was sort of overseeing our direct agent internet lead partnerships, as well as our centralized agency support. And I recently, sort of at the beginning of this year, decided to go back to my roots, which was territory leadership. So now I oversee the Southeast region as the senior managing director. So kind of responsible for it all here in the Southeast.
That's incredible. So walk me through when you go in, it sounds like you are doing a revamp of leadership right now. We're changing cultures. I'm curious, what are you seeing some of your top agents doing on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, well, you may have heard that farmers sort of changed the sort of the leadership model in some of our states, sort of in the Eastern Territory, and so we really are at a point now where we are fully committed to our district manager model, and so and that is this is the first time that we have introduced district managers into some of our markets like Georgia. And I will tell you that this is a model we're fully committed to, and actually many of these agents who have grown 10, 12, $14 million books of business in states like Georgia, they're really enjoying the level of support they get from a district manager, the staffing that the district brings on. They bring on business consultants, they bring on recruiters and sourcers, and they bring on life specialists and commercial specialists and retention specialists. So there's lots of different positions that a DM can hire to support their agents. And Georgia's been such a disruptive market that being able to help them sort of focus on or sort of be able to scale new business while the district helps with their sort of operational planning has been a big win.
Yeah, that is something like really unique about your all's model is you're helping your agents with the recruiting, with some of the training, because ultimately the district manager model, it's almost like running a insurance, almost like a big company within a company. Like it's really cool to see that
Yeah,
happen.
it's like we were talking about this and breaking it down. It's like the C-suite. Essentially, your district managers have like all of these people that sit in like a C-suite. I'm like,
Yep.
that is incredible.
Yep. It is pretty cool. So, out of curiosity, so when you think of like the top agents that you've worked with, what are one or two things that you see amongst your top performers that you see others that may struggle with agency ownership or even the sales, whatever it may be, whatever you, like what characteristics are you seeing them have on a consistent basis or do that the ones that struggle just don't seem to do?
Yeah, I've got some like right off the top of my mind here. One, I would say a majority of the agents that I work with that have really scaled their operation, and despite any like underwriting headwinds, profit headwinds, or anything the company has had to sort of impose on the state, which may impact their ability to grow, they have defied all of that and grown anyway. And most of them have some sort of digital footprint. Most of the times that equates to them being in some way, shape, or form or level engaged in internet leads. It doesn't mean that it has to be like 90% of all of their quotes come from leads, but they have to have some sort of digital presence, whether that is SEO and click campaigns, whether that is a true internet lead or a warm transfer sort of like offering that they have in their agency. Another thing is they manage their staff in ways that agents who aren't able to grow way more effectively. And I will tell you that there's way too many agent visits that I do where when I sort of talk about at the producer level, at the agency producer level, hey, what is our average production from our staff? I know it's 8,000, it's 11,000, it's 7,000, really not even kind of licensing their seat at that point. And then if I say, hey, but you had your best month in October, what did you do differently that month? Well, that's the month where I stepped up and just did more sales myself. It's like, well, what about the people that are on payroll? The people. I mean, did they step up? Well, they didn't step up. Um, and I would also say that like the agents who are really growing in these more difficult times to scale an agency, let's be honest, are doing so, I think, with the power of data. And I am a particularly, I don't know how to say this without sort of undermining my own credibility, but you can say that I'm a bit of a nerd, and I don't pretend to be a better salesperson than my $10 million agency sitting somewhere outside of Atlanta, or my $8 million agency sitting somewhere outside of Huntsville, Alabama. I've not sold as many policies as them. I cannot claim to be a better insurance salesperson than them. However, I do believe in my ability to leverage data to make really intelligent choices, and also to sort of acquire the right type of consumer, ensure that I am acquiring customers in the right markets, in the right zip codes, and also to understand the predictable nature of how those sort of ideal consumer profiles can benefit conversion, retention, lifetime value, all of that to help you grow.
Yeah, I would love to get into the power of data because we're huge believers, and this is through experience. Like transparently, as a new business owner, I used to make a lot of decisions emotionally based, and unfortunately, when you're making decisions based off of emotion, it's not always going to be the right decision because data provides you the ability to make decisions by eliminating the emotion out of it. But before I get to the power of data, I just want to go to the digital footprint real fast and just reiterate that in today's world, as an insurance agency owner, actually, if you're a business owner, you have to have a digital footprint. Like, no matter if you like it, you don't like it, like this is one of those things from a data standpoint you have to have. Like this has to be part of your business.
Non-negotiable.
So whether it is internet leads, I mean, out of the thousands and thousands of agencies we work with, I would tell you a large portion of the very successful agents are all doing internet leads, but internet leads are not their whole marketing plan. Most really successful business owners have 5 marketing campaigns going at all times. So maybe internet leads one, maybe SEO is one, maybe paid ads is one, maybe centers of influence is one, maybe events is one, maybe direct mail is one, maybe door-to-door marketing, maybe cold calling. Like regardless of what it is, the biggest hang up I see with digital footprint is a lot of agencies that do internet leads, their entire marketing campaign becomes dependent on internet leads. And that's where I see sometimes they struggle, because then if the lead quality goes down, maybe the state gets non-competitive, maybe the ideal customer changes. And that's the only thing like I caution on. But I do think like you have to have internet leads or some type of digital footprint going on. Internet lead just tends to be the easiest because those are just leads that can be purchased. So I want to reiterate that for anyone right now that's struggling to write business and you can't figure it out. And I'm not the biggest fan of internet leads. Like I've talked out against internet leads a lot, but you have to have leads coming in your door. So unless you're going out and you are going to drive leads into the door, you got to have leads for your team, and your team needs to be generating leads as well.
Yeah, and I would say what has I think optimized the lead channel and agents' ability to leverage internet leads for success is in the last 5 years, there is now all of this insurance related tech stack that can really optimize, but it takes a lot of effort, upfront effort for agents to sort of establish that tech stack, whether it's like leveraging an agency Zoom or a Ricochet sort of on the front end, like LMS level, and then taking things like Salt and Canopy Connect and Ring Central or whatever your texting, your preferred texting or telephony provider, integrated telephony provider is. If you can optimize all of those sort of automation solutions into a tech stack, then it really can optimize your internet lead agenda or performance, because with no automation tools and no technology stack, then you are relying on human beings to outperform all of the tech stacks out there, which is really a recipe for disaster.
Well, it is outperforming, but it's also, let's get your time back. Can your time be spent doing something like if we're talking about human capital, what is the best use of human capital in an insurance agent's office? It's having conversations with other human beings. Like that is the absolute best use of capital. So let's actually like work smarter and I'm a big fan of using tech to help me be more efficient and enhance my experiences all around. So I love that you're bringing that up.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Efficiency is one of my favorite words. Some have said I should get it like in some way, shape, or form tattooed. I don't have any tattoos, but if I did, then perhaps like my 2 kids' names and like efficiency might be like the 3 things I get tattooed just to tell everyone what I'm about.
Oh my gosh, I love. Where would you put this tattoo? Is this is this a bicep tattoo? Is this like a
like the old
straight
old
up
school
you
like
don't flex it right
barbed
here?
wire instead it says
Efficiency.
Yeah, potentially, maybe like just across the back, I don't know.
Ooh.
I don't know. I don't think I'm like way cool enough for tattoos at all. So I've stayed away from them, and I just stay true to my roots. To be honest with you,
They're a
I'm
commitment,
telling you.
dude. They are a lifelong commitment.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can find like just a wearable one. I'm gonna
Yeah.
say, and I'm gonna expect it on the neck. I need it right on the neck that says efficiency, so you can see it.
It's
everywhere.
commitment.
Okay, so I want to jump in because then you said manage staff, and you brought up 8,000, 7,000. Are you talking about raising expectations of your producers? To clarify that a little bit, or having consistent expectations?
Yeah, I mean, I think that agents just need to understand how much that seat costs, you know, and that seat should have a barrier to entry. And that should be firmly established before you even sign an agreement to bring that staff person on. And actually, what we're starting to encounter is that, yes, they can. Now that we have set that expectation, we've shown them how expensive that seat actually is. I know we should say, well, they're the business owner, they should know it. Look, everyone needs coaching. And, a lot of times, just like we're all busy, we end up just saying, hey, I have a need for a staff person. I'm going to put out sort of like an ad. I'm going to get that person. If they seem good on the first interview, I'm going to offer them a job. And next thing you know, they're in that seat. And we haven't actually like really, again, run the data and establish how much production that seat needs to have in order for it to stay warm. for it to be ROI positive to the business and to help you grow. So we have had those conversations. We do have a level of sort of rigor around that process now, but what about all those those hundreds of staff people we didn't set that expectation with up front? Those are harder conversations now. Now you're going to people who have been agency producers in your agency for 2, 3, 6 years, who have been sort of, I would say, skating by with, let's say, 10,000, average monthly premium production, and we know that that's only paying for about 40% of the seat. Okay, if that.
Boo.
Might be 25% of the seat, depending on your market and and everything else and your P&L. So now how do you go back to them and say, hey, look, we have to drastically scale our production or else we can't afford you to occupy this seat. And that's where we have hit a little bit more of a stumbling block. So, well, I don't want to disturb that person. They've been really loyal. They've been with me through all of the hard underwriting times of 2022 and 2023, all the cancellation. They fielded hundreds of cancellation calls. And they stuck with me where other people sort of bailed. I wish I had like a great Steve Jobsian like one-liner, for what loyalty will get you. But all I can say is that there needs to be, an equal part sense of loyalty to that person who may have stuck it out in your agency, as there is loyalty to your business, and sort of what depends upon your business. I mean, I don't know about anybody else, but like my income is 100% of my household income. I owe it to my to my family and to the mortgage on this roof, to ensure that I don't lose that job. And I would suspect that many of our agents sort of have that same level of responsibility on their shoulders. And that's the weight that all of your employees for whom the payroll you process should feel. Not that they're owed a debt of gratitude for fielding cancellation calls. Guess what? That's what the job, required during that underwriting cycle or during that performance cycle. So now it requires growth. Now it requires you to stop worrying about the calls coming in and start making some outbound calls. So anyway, it's just a tougher change management conversation.
But this is a great conversation to have, because if someone right now might be listening to this and be like, man, I have an underperforming team member that is loyal, I like them. Man, well, how does this conversation go? And so, Iain, we can get into this a little bit. The thing that I like to do here is like change is the one constant that we can all agree is going on every single day. It doesn't matter what business, life, like change is happening. And part of someone's job, role, duty, more than likely is going to change. Specifically over the next 1, 2, 3 years, things are going to change within our industry. Things are going to change within your agency, to where it is more sales focused. It is more production focused. Not that customer service doesn't matter, because customer service does matter, but expectations and standards, in my opinion, should rise and raise. It shouldn't just be, I hire you for a job and 10 years later, you're still held accountable to the same expectations and standards, because I can guarantee you as the business owner aren't held to the same expectations and standards you were 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And so as your expectations and standards change for you, that has to be incorporated and communicated within the entire business and entire organization, because if things don't change, if standards, if expectations don't change while you're held accountable to different expectations, you're on a road that I wouldn't say is the road to success. I would say that you are on a road to not be in alignment with your carrier or the rest of the industry. So that is the only thing I would encourage. If you're scared right now to have that conversation, or you don't know how to have it, number one, reach out. But number two, like, things are always changing, and you have to be the leader of your organization, and you have to lead by example. So if production isn't where you want the production to be, I would recommend getting back into the freaking seat and producing and showing your team, training your team, and then expect them to also do the same. But if you teach them, you train them, you show them, and they still aren't willing to step up, that's a really great indicator that you probably don't have the right person on the team.
Yeah, and there's some good data that we can leverage. I mean, I have had this conversation where I've looked at good months, sort of outlier months in terms of production with certain agencies. And again, it's been, well, that's a month that I really stepped up, And then we look at the producer level data, and they sort of produce the same 7 or 8,000 a month that they do, and then the agency owner did 40,000. And they're like, that was my attempt at showing my team, hey, this can be done. And then we start to look at the different factors at the producer level. One being the agency owner, and then maybe their 2 licensed and appointed staff. And like discount utilization is something that is, the agent of record, it might be applying discounts on 85% of their quotes and the staff's applying on 40%. I mean, we are a discount driven company, as all insurance carriers are. And if the Progressive rep is applying 100% of the discounts 100% of the time, and you are applying discounts 40% of the time, that's not our rating factor's fault. That is your agency's sort of quote hygiene, practices, that could be at fault. I would also argue that the types of consumers that you are prospecting to. So we know that we're going to perform much, much better with consumers that have higher credit, who are homeowners. Not everyone walks around, again, going back to the tattoo conversation, walks around with a tattoo with their credit score on their forehead. But if they did, that would be great. But there are some sort of attributes that are predictable in terms of, hey, is this person someone who has good credit or not good credit? In this high interest rate environment, anyone who purchased a home in the last 2 years probably has good credit, because in order to get a home loan on an interest rate of 8+%, you have to have good credit. So, these are, again, predictable factors. And home ownership, good credit, zero prior losses, or maybe 1 prior loss, even age of your home, your vehicle symbol. These I actually have an agent that is in my market that is so good at analyzing data that he sees the trends with vehicle symbols, or just make and model of vehicles. And then he can buy leads when he realizes that, oh my gosh, like Chevy Tahoes are a sweet spot, or whatever it might be. So, you can really find a lot of diamonds in the data.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go back to data a little bit, because I think if nothing else, if we answer this question on the podcast, I think it will be huge. We talked about how much does that seat cost. Is there an easy way for somebody listening right now that they can figure up how much their producer seat costs?
Yeah, I mean, for us, I would use our agency sales and compensation program, and I would just model out how much premium it takes me to maximize personal lines bonuses, business insurance bonuses, life bonuses, and how much premium I need in order to max those out, and then divide it by the seats in the agency. And that's how much premium we need. That's a real easy way to do it. Factor in whatever your sort of like attrition rates are. And, there you have a pretty simple formula. Again, that might not be universally true to sort of like effectively evaluate the cost of every seat, but for us, that's a really, really good place to start.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's great. I mean, you gave a really good mathematical formula. I used to simplify it even more to where it was like, okay, I know their base, and let's just pretend it's $4,000 a month, so $48,000 a year. So I know their base is $4,000 a month, and let's pretend like you're spending $500 per person in your agency for marketing spend. So I know that I have $4,500 wrapped up, not including bonuses, commissions, anything like that, but just base. That means that at a minimum, if you're an agent like that and you're doing the math right now and you're at a 10% P&C commission rate, you know that roughly they would have to produce $45,000 in P&C commissions to break even right there. Now, you might be an agency owner that's like, okay, I'm cool if I'm not breaking even on the first initial cycle. How about at the 6-month renewal? Well, now you know that you have to have your P&C figured out to know, okay, if my average car is $1,000 every 6 months, on the next renewal, I'm going to get $1,000 for 20 cars. That's $20,000 in renewals. So if you want to break even on the 6-month mark, maybe you're holding them accountable to $25,000 in P&C premium produced, and then at the 6-month mark, not including bonuses, you'll roughly break even on that, and that's not adding in financial services commissions either. Does that make sense to you?
It makes total sense. Iain, I would be curious, your top agents, the ones that are just like absolutely crushing it, what is their expectation for their producer? How much in premium a month?
A minimum 40,000 a month.
Yep. And I would tell you that's pretty standard amongst, I mean, it doesn't matter, State Farm, Allstate, Farmers. I mean, we have all kinds of agents on this, on the buzz, and 40,000 is pretty much that go-to number for a majority of agency owners. Like their goal is, and that's like a minute. This isn't, oh man, that's amazing. This is the minimum expectation. Like we have a run up period of 90 days to get them to roughly that 35 to 40,000 a month in PNC, or not in PNC, but just overall commissions or premium. And then it's okay, great. Once you hit that, then the bar is going to raise even a little bit more. So the minimum expectation is 40, but we're going to aim for 50, 60, 70. Like that's the goal to get you. Is that fair, Ian?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, again, I know that just like every exclusive agency carrier, we've had to adjust our compensation programs.
Yep.
And what that's done is it's allowed agents who are growing and wildly productive to make more. And we do that through a variety of different sort of bonus programs that they can trigger on a monthly and quarterly and even annual basis. And again, those have to be leveraged to their max capacity. And if they are, that's why I factor those into sort of your seat cost equation, because you simply cannot leave a dime on the table in this new world of EA compensation. And so ensuring that whatever premium that you're going to generate, like that has to, at a minimum, again, be maxing out each of those line of business bonus potential.
And what was the formula you said again, just so in case somebody missed it, to factor in like the cost per seat in your agency?
Yeah, I would factor in maxing out personal lines, new business bonuses, business insurance, which are quarterly life bonuses, and then an annual bonus. So there's monthly personal lines, there's quarterly business and life, and there's an annual sort of all up. So for both personal lines and business insurance. So you have all of those opportunities, which again, without them, we're going to make the economics and survival tougher. Because let's just be honest, EA carriers and even IA,
Yep,
they are lowering base commission rates.
Yeah.
And you have to make up, and again, the upside is higher, but the floor is lower, and you cannot lower your floor if you want to be a successful business, growth year over year. So it's just not an option.
No, you're going to be paid off performance moving forward. I mean, we're seeing it across the board right now with carriers lowering service commissions, and I think that's only going to continue for the foreseeable future, just because of profitability issues amongst the PNC space isn't getting any better. So you're going to get paid to do what you do best, and that is to have conversations that convert and help people. That's the modern day insurance professional.
Yeah.
Okay, so in leadership, what is the thing that you wish agency owners or even district managers would come to you and ask you? What is the question or help or whatever that you're willing to give, but they're not asking?
Oh, I don't know if it's a question that they ask because I'm not sure they want to know the answer. But I'll tell you that that when we first started talking before, at the outset of our discussion, I told you how much I've come to the realization that this is a day-to-day grind operation. And literally there were days where I used to be able to exhale and it wouldn't make a difference in my discrete business unit's performance. It's not like I was coming in and just taking the day off, but maybe I wasn't having my best day. I will tell you that since I've, again, reconnected to my territory leadership roots, if you want to make a difference as someone who is an agency owner, a district manager, a district staff member, or a company employee who supports and oversees these territories, and has top line, goals to achieve, then taking a day off, a half a day off, not grinding with them. Okay. You're not pounding on them. You're grinding with them. Okay. I just sent out an email, which is why I was 4 minutes late to this recording. I'm sorry to be late to your podcast. It was very disrespectful. I'm sorry. But the reason why I was doing it was because I send every Monday, I send a weekly recap and a look forward. And it outlines how we performed against plan last week, what our plans are for this week, and then essentially and then our performance of those plans, and what we need to do to ensure that we achieve them. And this is ground strokes. Like, we see the highlights, those are great, the dunks, the behind the back passes, but just like running the offense effectively every possession, if I can use a basketball analogy, is what's it going to equate to winning or losing. Okay, because you can win the dunks KPI and you can lose the game by 20. Okay, and I would just say that like these sort of like these fundamentals on a day in and day out basis, and sort of falling in love with the day to day is critical, critical, critical. If you're not in love with the day to day, you will struggle, because eventually you will not be following up on the leads. You will not be following up on the alerts. The cancellations will mount up. Now you're going to try to catch up on the cancellations, or sort of trying to retain and save policies. Therefore, you won't be selling. You won't be cross-selling. And your economics are going to get way out of whack. The way in which you devote sort of your resources and your capacity are going to be out of whack. The next thing you know, your entire agency operation is backwards. And that inefficiency, again, is going to start to spiral. And it's really hard to catch up. When you sort of lost the plot on your operation, it's really hard. That reclamation project is, months long, not days long. And it can, and again, if you're doing a months-long reclamation project, good luck triggering, a monthly personalized bonus. Like, it's not going to happen. So again, Jeff Bezos says that repetition is persuasion. So I'll just say it again: falling in love with the grind, falling in love with the day to day. It's not the sexiest answer that anyone's ever given you on this podcast, I'm sure, but I would just tell you that for me, it's what I found to have worked.
It might not be the sexiest, but it's the most honest. I mean, like, it's the truth. We were actually talking about this right before we hit record. We were on a podcast, and he said he was asking us, is there a cost to success? And I hesitate with that, because I told Michael, I'm like, I don't want to scare people. He's like, be honest. Success will demand everything of you. And then when you're at that point where you think that you can't give anymore, it will demand some more. So you do have to become obsessed and in love with the thing that you are doing, or it won't work. You're absolutely right. You can't pull off. You have to give this your life force energy. You have to.
And here's the thing, though, is when you give it your life force energy, you are obsessed with it. You're willing to do whatever it takes. You're in the day-to-day grind. That grind will get easier over time because you establish a winning culture, and a winning culture just tends to freaking show up and do the day-to-day grind and have a lot of fun at the same time. And winners love winning, and winners like having fun, and there's not much more fun from a competitive standpoint than winning. And so all you do is win, baby. Let's go. But you got to be willing to put in the work and do the day-to-day grind, and not just for a couple months, for a couple years, and probably longer than you think. Like, we all underestimate what we can, well, we overestimate what we can do in a year, and we underestimate what we can do over a 5 to 10 year period. So if you're willing to go in and just grind, lead by example, do the day-to-day, fall in love with the process of what it looks like to be a producer and agency owner, man, I agree with you. It may not be sexy work, but gosh dang, it is good work, and it is fun, and the impact that you have the ability to make within your community, your team, is absolutely amazing. So, Iain, I know we're tight for time, buddy, so we appreciate you coming on today. If somebody wanted to follow you in your journey, maybe they wanted to reach out, maybe they're interested in a potential position there in the Southeast, like, what would be the easiest way for them to do that?
I'm on LinkedIn. So my name is spelled a little bit differently. It's Iain. Last name is Steves. You can find me on LinkedIn, or it's really easy to find me via my farmers insurance email. It's ian.steves@farmersinsurance.com. So if anybody wants to reach out, then they can do so. And I did want to leave just with this one last sort of parting shot. And it's very bad manners to plug another podcast while you're on another podcast. So I won't talk about which podcast it is, but I will tell you that I've listened to this podcast several times. It's about a guy named Todd Graves. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of Todd Graves, but he's the founder and CEO of Raising Cane's. Okay, Raising Cane's is a chicken finger fast food restaurant, which again is not very sexy. But I will tell you that Todd Graves is a guy who's worth about $9 billion. And to this day, 30 years into the career, still talks about having a chicken finger dream. And Todd Graves has been telling people that he had a chicken finger dream since he was 19 years old. And he's been laughed at since he was 19 years old. And guess who's laughing now? If you ever want to see someone who's if you ever want to read about someone who's committed to the day to day and is in love with the day to day and is committed to a single dream, I would encourage everyone to research Todd Graves and Raising Cane's and his story, because you'll walk away wanting to sort of like either buy a Raising Cane's franchise or run through a brick wall, whichever you have the capacity to do. And I leave that as something, maybe a takeaway for anyone listening that wants to understand what it takes again to fall in love with that day to day.
So good.
Thanks, dude. That's good. Todd Graves. I like that. I wrote that down. So check that out. Iain, thanks again for your time. For all of those of you who are tuning in today, as always, thank you. We appreciate you. Time and attention are by far our most important assets. We appreciate you spending time with us today on The Buzz. Go out, make it great, baby. Keep changing lives. Do the work. Fall in love with the day-to-day grind, because what you do every single day matters. You have the most noble career in the world. While it might not seem like that every single day, you have the ability to have conversations with people that have the ability to change their life and add financial protection during the most devastating times of their lives. Don't forget that. I love y'all. Take care.